Hey team, how we going? Come and share a beer, a beverage, a coffee, a Coke, but not a Pepsi. Within the trenches with Kaz. Tonight we're going to speak about a subject. We're going to at least hear an opposing narrative of what could be happening for the best of what Australia has. The A team, not BA Baracus, but the Special Air Service Regiment. Also, the 2nd Commando Regiment, without warning, so that at least they understand, if they're listening, watching, unable to communicate, that not everyone is holding them responsible before they're actually taking a trial. Hey, Bailey's hat, how you going, mate? Great to have you here. I hope that the hat lands on the bed of the person you wish it to be. Fugly, how you going? Spuddy Sims, g'day, mate. Guardian of the Galaxy 24/7, how's it going? Lauren is here. I wasn't going to disturb you today, Lauren. I thought you were having a bit of a rest. We've got Drunk Aussie, always, to you, mate. Corona, the big brother of the homosexual beverage known as the 4X Summer Bright. Pepsi, damn you. Emma C, she's been watching on the phone. That's how you go blind. Jordo, good to have you here, mate. Ahoy. Pardon me, says Jordo from the sailor's perspective. That's okay, Bailey. We've got Steve here. G'day, everyone. We've got Major Benson. Great to have you here, team. Guys and gals, I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm only going to have a couple there, Tyson. You're about to fight next weekend against Roy Jones. Well done. We're going to speak to a couple of people tonight. One from the perspective of the former commander in the 2nd Commando, which is Heston Russell, who was an actual captain and commander of November platoon. And then we're going to listen to Alan Jones as he talks about the perspective of why does this seem to be so one-sided attack and so preemptive, for the destruction of so many that we've claimed were not part of anything to be ashamed of. If anything, led with honour. A lot of us, once we've worked for fraternities, whether it be police force or military, football teams, you name it, can be accused of all sorts of atrocities that are absolutely unfounded. So when I saw this story, and it felt like it was all attack and not actually balanced on anything other than the need to win. An attack on military culture, on the Special Forces community. This is going to go a lot further than Australia. This is going to branch out to the rest of the world. Coalition Special Forces. I just don't know what the goal here is, but it feels like it's a frenzy of people after our Special Forces community. And you've only got to look very, very lightly below the surface, and you see the attacks online that are happening on any of the videos that are allowing comments. It's crazy. I hope everyone's doing well. We don't normally get on a Saturday, but I understand in the year of COVID 2020, although my vision's leaving, it's good that we jump on occasionally when it's something that matters and put our voice out there. If you can't make it all night, I get it. Nicole King is here. Good to have you here. We've got Minnie Lou here. Just a major in 2019, I believe. Previously ran selection training. Oh, righto. That's for Heston Russell. Yep. That's one of the differences between 2 Commando as well, without warning. That's their motto, is they have a captain in charge of their platoon. Also, the difference between SASR and 2 Commando, for example, is the fact, if you're choosing that Commandos are advanced infantry. They are a group of guys that still go in there and fight as a formation at platoon level, upgunned. Right? They go in, hit hard, do their job, get the hell out. It's called a raid. Whereas SASR, it might be for reconnaissance, it might be for gaining information, it might be a small team, there might be no officers involved at all. Which is what the command structure seems to be trying to hold on to so they don't get implicated, which sounds a little bit too much to me like the Costa Cordian captain that when he crashed his ship was one of the first people to claim to have fallen into a life raft, and getting the hell out of Dodge before he was held accountable. We've got Spuddy Sims. Not sure if it's me, but can we get a touch more volume? Absolutely you can. Here we go. Where are we? How's that? Is that a bit better? I hope so. Righto. Bit of food for you too, Dave. Closer to your area. Not Vietnam, but bam. That is my Aldi pick. The chicken pad thai, I think it was about $3, 6.5 minutes in the microwave. And that one, to all of you people like me who either one, shop when you're hungry, two, can't be stuffed cooking, or three, don't like doing the dishes. That's your solution. Guys and gals, some of the comments that have attacked not just our channel, but other channels about the things that have been going on. We're just trying to get a few people in the comments before we actually kick off with the videos and what we're going to talk about tonight. How quick we forget from the perspective of air conditioning, lounge rooms, offices, safety in our first world countries, that we don't realise that a lot of the things that are being brought up here that they've claimed that the SASR have done in Afghanistan, that we've been perpetrating things for over 100 years. Conflict is not perfect. There is mitigations, there is reasons for why things occur. Remember that the Geneva Convention is actually 6 different conventions. There's like 4 proper ones and another extra 2, and there's 3 protocols on top of that. And the last ones were made over 70 years ago. Is it a war crime when a naval vessel sinks another naval vessel and then doesn't stop to give assistance to those stranded at sea, which is a maritime understanding that all must protect and preserve the life of those stranded at the ocean's peril? But they didn't do it. And that happened from both sides. Could it be those that had the red crescent or the red cross, for the Red Cross, that had combatants on it that weren't actually just casualties? Is there times where green on blue, where Australians have been attacked by their own people or coalition partners, which has eroded trust? Is there the look into the eyes of the beast when you're overseas and you realise that they don't operate by any law system, where there is no integrity, where they are goddamn liars, and culturally they live by face? What I mean is their social standing, etc., where it's a greater crime to call a liar than what it is to lie. Where life is cheap. Do you know there was over 100 attacks leading up to 2017 where Afghan soldiers turned around and started shooting coalition forces, inside their own bases, sometimes inside their own beds. And they wonder why the trust was not there. Was it a legitimate war? Don't know. It was a response in 2001 to what occurred at the Twin Towers. But it was politicians that sent them, and it was officers that commanded them. And then there was the guys who go out and face the beast and get judged for the rest of their lives, which are sometimes prematurely shortened due to stress, battles, misadventure, substance abuse, broken souls that are still living. The fact that they used entrapment to go after some of these souls and use the very presence of a doctor, so to speak, to win the trust, as the Chief of the Army explained it, to me is very, very dirty, because what you've done now is cut off a bridge to the other supposable 2,980 people that you're saying did perform well, but now you've taken a meritorious cross off them and punished them all. Dismantled the 2nd Squadron, Special Air Service Regiment. If it's an isolated amount of people, why such a broad destruction of morale, of confidence, of trust? It's irreversible. This happened to the police force since the Fitzgerald inquiries, where now they look inwards, more scared of their hierarchy than what they are of the felon. What happens now when Kane Higgins or Scott Henderson says, well, I want to go to SAS, and then he gets accused of any one of 100 slangs or statements? Oh, you want to do this, or you want to do that. Do you want to be this? No, I want to be the best of the best, professional soldier on the great adventure around people that like-minded think the way I do and want to be around those that have the best chance of getting me home safely, but also get attached to the big jobs, the big adventures, the big equipment. I want to be worth the $10 million, but still reside within the shadows. Hey, Stubbs, here you go, mate. James Taylor, the Afghan army wouldn't give a shit if our soldiers died. You're absolutely right. Some of them probably would. Some of them are fantastic by all accounts. Yep. Let's look at some of the stories before we go into actually the videos. Now, this is one that was based around banned from West Point. Dress like allies, kill like enemies. That's about the green on blue. That's what happens when coalition partners from Afghanistan that work with you turn on you and attempt to murder you. And that is murder because they're on your side, supposedly. The fear with this is quite often coalition forces are in very small groups, a mentoring group that travel with a larger call sign, bell curve of courage of the Afghan army, and then they go right out into the woods, into the Badlands, and choose where they decide to turn around and come home again. When you're completely outnumbered, how do you know that this is not a setup? What's your anxiety levels like? What if the good ones of the A&A keep pointing out, okay, that Mitch over there, the atrocities he has done? How many times can you let Mitch off the hook? They claim that these people, it wasn't the heat of the battle, that this happened after. Doesn't that imply to you that there was thought put into this? That there was an understanding that through the technical criminality of the police force, whether it be by fear, whether it be by money, whether it be alliance, that the bad people were also going to be let free again until they eventually win against you. Sorry, sniper from Tuaria. I can't talk at the moment. Guys, gals, the fear you live in, the lack of trust. You know, how many times do you have to be reminded that people can't be trusted, that you could be next? We've lost Australian soldiers through green and blue. Okay, same with Britain, same with America, Canada, Dutch, etc. I don't know if New Zealand lost anyone for the green on blue. Make sure you subscribe at the moment if you can, team. Great to have you here. And sorry again for ambushing you tonight on a Saturday. Let's have a look at another one. Never seen this before. Normally the SASR, they stay below the detection threshold. Yet here they are, 12 of them coming forward, and I believe this story was buried, saying, do not accuse us of which we have not done. These are men that have served with honour, that have lost friends, that know what the weight of their dying friend feels like, that have put their trust into each other to get them home safe, that have met each other's families, their kids. The people that have dogs, that drop their children off, that say hello to you in the shop with you never realising the level of warrior you were speaking to. The culture of warrior, what is wrong with it? Angus Campbell always talking bad about this culture of warrior, of brotherhood. You're going, what's wrong with that? If you join the military to be an officer, you get riches, you get command, you get power, you get privilege. If you join the army as an enlisted soldier, you don't necessarily have as much responsibility, okay? But what you have is the danger. You have the adventure, right? You have the mateship, you have the striving, you have the teamwork, you have the brotherhood. And now they want to take that away. Why would you join if that was taken away? It started off when they took our T-shirts off us. We don't like these designs. They look bad. No one's ever going to see them. No one cares except you. It might look bad for us. Yeah, well, you know what? You know, gunfights look pretty bad too. We're not here to play tiddlywinks or hopscotch. Lauren, who we got? Sorry, guys, I'm blind as hell here. I might have to grab Lauren and see if she feels like talking, you know, so she can read some of these to me. Top 10 clips. There you go, mate. I'm determined to join the army, but all this shit has demotivated me. Don't let it demotivate you, you know. Don't let it. You know, that's why we have a talk about this. I don't want you to be over-emotional about it. Watch, consider, and speak to people in the street and go, hey, there's two sides to this. And remember, one of them is not allowed to communicate on social media. A lot of them are still serving. There's been 39 supposable cases, alleged cases. Alleged. Let's not hold them guilty yet. There is a lot of people in Afghanistan, they're calling innocent. What? Why? Because they didn't have a uniform. They don't wear a uniform unless they're on our side. They look like farmers. They choose when to strike, like the mosquito in the night. What did these people know? And when they are spoken to, maybe they'll go, yeah, I did it. I did it. But let me tell you about that guy. Put a thumbs up down there if you want me to tell you a quick story about something that might change your mind a little bit too. Because sometimes the wrong people jump to conclusions without finding out facts, you know, without hearing another side of the story. Maybe they listen to the mainstream media too much that has a slant and are all owned by exactly the same people, regardless of what country they come from. Guys and gals, I'm going to quickly tell you about a story. This happened in Afghanistan. This happened to someone I know very well. This guy got called up. He was a cav guy, and he had to go on a trip. You know, he had to go on a patrol, and he was assisting with coalition US forces to go and speak to some vital information that was at a hamlet, that someone that could communicate with them and tell them some vital information potentially they needed to know, that could swing the area of operations to tell you, or the tactical area of responsibility, that could maybe bring the fight back over to our side and give us an advantage. And they went to this house, and my mate was the protection force for him. Several vehicles there. And they went there, and he was on the back of his vehicle, hot as hell. You know, the Americans went in, were speaking to this group of individuals. Little girl comes over, bugs him. Okay, and he's, yep, go away. You know, you don't need to be near the vehicle. Don't want her to get hurt. We're not going to be here for long. You don't need to be talking to me. Just give me some time. Something going through his mind. She doesn't care. She's not intimidated. Cute as a button. Stays there. Keeps talking. That's how they eventually win you over, and they take your heart, you know. Nice. Okay? They go away. The job's done. The mission's over. They go back, do some PT. Couple of days later, okay, the Americans want to take out the same security force to go and revisit the individual, validate the information that he's given, and see how we go from there. They turn up to the same location, again, remembering the rules of armed conflict, etc. They turn up. Right? The American goes in there. He doesn't get all the way to the building, before a man comes out, ashen-faced, upset, crying, carrying something in his arms. Well, it turns out that the same Taliban, you know, that aren't wearing a uniform, came at night saying that we saw that the Australians and others came here and spoke to you. What did you tell them? Have you been talking? what we want to know. Or maybe we should just get rid of all of you now. Well, anyway, they decide, okay, I think this guy's legit. He didn't tell them anything. But then they look over and that they notice that the little girl, is eating a lolly that you can't get in Afghanistan. And then they think, why would someone give you treats unless the game was being played and maybe you're sympathetic to the other side? So they decided to tell the gentleman, okay, we believe you that you didn't talk, but we don't know for sure. How many children do you have? Well, let's take one from you to teach you a lesson, just to make sure that you don't talk at all. So that little girl lost her life. And that was the price. These are the people you're dealing with. What would you do? What would you do if you then found out that the person that you captured that was kneeling down or telling you, I'm just a farmer, but you've got other people telling you that's exactly who this is? What would you do? Why don't we switch it over? Let's talk about Rwanda for a second. And again, I know I keep bringing this up. We like to blame the soldier while keeping the chain of command out of this. But when Rwanda happened in 1994, 1995, when the genocide occurred, where over 1 million people were killed in an area smaller than Tasmania, and for some reason decided Australians should go over there and witness the rehabilitation of the country. Wait 2 seconds. Jared McMichael. Okay, it's been a while since watching the last stream. Due to work and sorting out my medical, and I was deemed medically fit. Mentally fit is a good one too. So just waiting on an enlistment day. Well done, mate. Let's bring some energy back to the chat here. Thank you very much, my friend. Oops.
I accept.
That goes out to you, and because I interrupted it, have some tentacle, my friend.
It's a Kraken. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Thanks for the Asian cow too, by the way, mate. I'm going to buy some dog food with that. Achilles is going well. So let's talk about Rwanda again. So 1995, 94, 95, that's where we are. We go over there, Australian soldiers. We get a shitty contract where we got sold out by Qantas, who never got in the shit for selling us out to one of the most dangerous bloody airlines, Tower Air from the USA. We land in Kigali. And 5 or 6 days out after, before the Commando massacre occurs, we actually get contacted saying that shit's going down. And I knew this was coming because my diary, I kept writing it. Well, we were sent by Australia to go there, but to not necessarily help. We had med caps there. We changed the life for a lot of people, that we did help. But our job was not to go out and just give medical aid. Now, when Commando was about to occur, Australians got moved, 4 platoon, Bravo Company, to area. Okay, it went over to a Zambian forward operating base, and then from there, we sent some soldiers out to Commando, to the camp. They came back, and the look on their face was, this is going to go off. It's about to blow up. What there was the soldiers, I'm going somewhere with this team. The soldiers that had been living in amongst and had relationships with, the Hutus, that were in the displaced people's camps after the aid agencies, the lefties, told them you'll be okay if you just sleep in this blue tent, and the government said don't do it. We're giving you your last warning to get the hell out of the Diddy Mouth village. They didn't understand Vietnamese, Dave Penson. They didn't leave. And the Australian soldiers came back. And I remember there when they came back. And then the next day, the second lot went out. And when they came back, they were different. They were different people. And they wouldn't tell us what had happened, what they'd seen. And we were told to give them some space. And don't worry, because you're going tomorrow. And we were thinking, yeah, awesome. What are we going to go and see? It was a one-sided fight, team. It was soldiers fighting against civilians, basically in like a barrel, at the same location where 15 years earlier there'd been a divine vision of Mary, which made it one of the most spiritual locations on earth. And wrapped around there was 110,000 people herded in, surrounded by new battalions of Rwandan Patriotic Army, mostly Tutsis who were there for revenge to seek out the Hutus, the Interahamwe that had been attacking them throughout the genocide. Okay, they came, they confronted them. They didn't care the Zambians were there. They didn't care the Australians were there. They knew our rules of engagement. And as long as they didn't shoot at us, they could do whatever they wanted. That should have been a crime on our politicians. That should have been a crime on higher commanders in our military. They knew it was going to happen. Black Lives Matter did not matter that day. And they attacked all day. And then we cleaned up for another 2 days. While the killers were still there asking us for a drink of water from the fatigue they'd got from doing their job on these said civilians who were looking at us with deadpan faces like, what the hell is going on here? I thought you were here to help. And we weren't even allowed to give first aid to people because that wasn't our job. So next time you think that someone has done something wrong to someone that probably deserved to have something done wrong to them because they weren't fighting by the laws of armed conflict, because they knew our rule system and it was over 70 years old before it had had any amendments, when someone was actually there and knew who this person was and could see the devil in their eyes and said no more, and they did what was meant to be done because there was never going to be justice, and then for them to come home and then be persecuted after being entrapped by someone who claimed to have been there for their mental needs and said, speak up, you can trust me, while handing that off like some undercover cop sting from a movie. To me, that tastes like turd. It's a shit sandwich. And I tell you someone else who didn't like it, and here he is.
Well, I've spoken for a week now about this report commissioned by the Defence Force into our Special Forces soldiers in Afghanistan. I've written about this in today's Daily Telegraph in Sydney, the Courier Mail in Brisbane and the Gold Coast Bulletin. This was where the Prime Minister told us that following the release of this report, the nation would have to face some brutal truths. So apparently our men who were sent into these theatres of war to sacrifice and serve are already guilty. At least the language of our so-called leaders generates that impression. But didn't I tell you the upper echelons of the defence bureaucracy would run for cover? They've wanted to control this and avoid being implicated. The Chief of the Defence Force and the Chief of the Army, this is how they operate, you see. Keep your hands clean so that your starched shirts don't get dirty. Pardon the language, but bury the poor bastards in the field who are actually fighting the Taliban. Why the SAS? Well, government don't want to wear the odium of our men dying in combat, so send the best, the SAS, and send them over and over again. Deployed too often. The rotations were too long. The average number of Afghanistan tours of duty were between 8 and 12. And they were of between 3 and 4 months. One person did 16. And they're operating under their rules of engagement. The enemy wasn't constrained by Western values. And I repeat, why were these young men sent over and over again? Because government feared the blowback of higher casualties. Did the Defence Force bureaucrats, the hierarchy, in their air-conditioned offices, protest on behalf of their men at the impossible burden of going back into Afghanistan again and again? If there was crook behaviour, and that's what this report is about, what created the conditions that led to this alleged behaviour? As one soldier said, and I quote, "I'm very concerned that this investigation will do nothing more than provide an opening for military-hating leftists to impose their radical agendas on the SAS."
It's already happening.
Well, culture comes from the top, the very top. Professor David Flint had it right when he said to me earlier this week about all this huffing and puffing, quote, "Just as well such an approach didn't apply in the Second World War.
Yep.
Otherwise the rising sun would be flying over Canberra today." I note the report says the commanders had no knowledge of what is being alleged.
Bullshit.
But it, quote, "does not relieve commanders of all responsibility." What does he mean by all responsibility? I'm sorry, Mr. Justice Brereton. As signatories to the Geneva Convention, Australia has adopted the Yamashita Standard, which asserts, and I quote, the highest ranking officer is accountable for and should be prosecuted and convicted of the crimes of every officer and soldier under his command. Well, one such former officer of Australia's Special Forces is the 34-year-old Heston Russell. In the past 5 years, he's lost more friends to suicide than during his 4 deployments to Afghanistan.
I lost one 3 days ago, team.
He joins me again. Heston, thank you for your time. What do these headlines today do to men you know, war crimes, SAS, 39 alleged murders? What about to the morale of people who serve and may sacrifice?
Well, good evening, Alan. Thank you so much for having me back on. Today it was a very long-awaited announcement by the Chief of the Defence Force, and I commend him on finally coming forward to acknowledge the exemplary service of over 3,000 Special Operations personnel during the period. And as he says, the actions of few are now to be passed forward to the official processes, and I pray that we can now allow those processes to go on. But in the meantime, we need to really hunker down and support those who are, for the first time in Special Forces history, being dragged before an open inquiry and being subjugated to public opinion, and so are their family, and left to question the purpose that they served with valour in action overseas.
So you've told me before more than 10 soldiers from your unit have killed themselves and more than 400 veterans have taken their lives since 2001. You were a leader in the Army and responsible for your team. No one's named here. How do you know it's not you?
Absolutely correct, Alan. I actually don't know, and particularly with the Chief of the Defence Force's comments today about those tactical commanders. You know, I was a platoon commander, I was a captain. I stand ready to accept responsibility should one of my guys be one of those involved. But the interesting part, Alan, is that I'm finding out, and all the other soldiers and officers are finding out these updates live in the media. There is no support mechanism around them unless we reach out and ask for help, which you would have heard yourself. The Chief of the Defence Force said that part of the systemic problem with the Special Forces culture was the units were overworked, given too much responsibility, pulled in too many different directions, and instead of reaching up and saying that they were working too hard, which we never would because we love the job, they were failing and cut corners on governance and reporting. So he's now implemented proactive programs to reach in and change that, yet we have not implemented a proactive mental health program to support those. We still require those individuals who are overworked, too proud or too worried to reach out, or unsure for the first time that they are actually suffering, to still reach out and ask for help. And that's why we've lost more than 10 times we did during combat. Absolutely. The period we're focusing on now.
But see, the ABC last month ran a story with an alleged US Marine who refused to be identified, who said he witnessed a murder by Australia's 2nd Commando regiment, your regiment, of an Afghan prisoner in Afghanistan in 2012.
He didn't witness anything.
Brereton says the report focuses on conduct of soldiers from the Perth-based
Special
Air Services Regiment. He says the inquiry was not successful in, quote, breaching the code of silence in the 2nd Commando Regiment. That's yours. What does he mean by that?
The cone of silence, Alan, and unfortunately a lot of this inquiry has been conducted by Justice Brereton, who doesn't have the on-the-ground experience, whereby this cone of silence is there that protects us, that keeps our families protected with our protected identity status, as we have conducted missions, many more missions and many more operations around the world outside of Afghanistan that no one yet knows about and might not never know about. And that cone of silence protects us and keeps us safe and keeps our families safe. Sorry.
Right, look, this is unbelievable. I mean, the commanders of Australia's Middle East, Brereton says in the report, the commander of Australia's Middle East operations, who included the Chief of the Defence Force, Angus Campbell, who's been all over the television today, from 2011-2012, were not accountable because they didn't have, quote, a sufficient degree of command and control to attract the principles of command responsibility. This is not what the Yamashita Standard says. I mean, General Yamashita was hanged in 1946 for crimes committed by his forces in the defence of the Philippines. He was not accused of personally committing any crime, nor could it be proven that he knew of the atrocities committed, but nonetheless he was court-martialed for, quote, failing in his duty as the commander of the Japanese forces, and the US Supreme Court upheld that decision and said, quote, a commander can be held accountable for crimes committed by his troops even if he did not order them, didn't know about them, or didn't have the means to stop them. It seems that this report is at pains to exonerate the commanders.
I think also, Alan, the Prime Minister's move to set up the Office of the Special Investigator, which will have any subsequent findings from the investigation tried before Australian law, will also remove us from that, as far as I understand, but I'm unsure. But either way, you hit the nail on the head. As a leader, as a professional leader, I was always taught that you operate with authority, and through that we exercise delegation through mission command. And that's delegation, not abdication, which means you are ultimately responsible for following through on what you order or your subordinate orders, actions under the authority that you apply. So there has been a systemic issue within the culture of Special Forces for that accountability, and that has been brought to the forefront and has had reforms underway for the last 5 years, and I could speak to those at length. It's important to note that they are underway, but there is a large component of accountability of the leadership that definitely I look forward to seeing how that comes into play, particularly at higher levels.
We all do. We all do.
James.
And I would point out to our viewers, no one from the Department of Defence or Veterans Affairs has spoken to people like Heston. No one. Heston, thank you for your time. We'll keep in touch. Tell all your
Okay, team. For starters, this one's for Tyson. Grab some tentacle, mate. Where are we? That's not tentacle. That's not Sukau, the White Warrior.
I accept.
So I'm going to give some tentacle quickly before I touch on James Morris's statement here, which I believe in. Welcome to the channel, team. Good to have you
It's a
here.
crackhead. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Welcome, calamari.
Sorry it's such a serious subject, team, but it is so important that we touch this subject so that when you do hit the rubber meeting the road, you actually have some statements, some background knowledge that you can speak on and not feel flat-footed while trying to stick up for, or at least to be able to be the advocate of common sense. Now, James Morris says, Kaz, the general staff need to be committed for trial. The special forces were overused, so what do they expect? Breaker Morant, exactly Rule 303. Breaker Morant was in the Boer War and was told, do not take prisoners. We do not have the logistics for it. And the only way to fight in the guerrilla warfare that was asymmetric warfare as well, at times fighting the Bushmen, was to get rid of the prisoners. And they understood that. Now, you've got to remember too, that Taliban are terrorists. They're not soldiers. So they should not come under the same rule sets of said Geneva Convention. That doesn't mean that I want our soldiers to have even more broken minds by going from a first world country to a third world country, almost biblically uncivilized, okay, and then go in there and then perform atrocities. We don't want that either. But guys and gals, I'll tell you something. When you've been on multiple operations, the first time you go there, it's a blast. But by the end of that 6 months, 4 months, your wit's end starts to get frayed. And you're not as happy. And the black humour comes in and you don't talk as much. And sometimes you get a bit aggressive and you can't wait to go home. And morale starts to drop. But then when you come in the second trip to the location, it takes less time for that to occur. Third time, less time. It compresses and compresses and compresses. It's like dating an ex-girlfriend a second, third or fourth time. It doesn't end up well. It's not good for the psyche. It's not good for them. Things get on your nerves, whether it be their culture. East Timor, one of the things over there, lovely people. But when you go over there as an Australian soldier, you're not ready to see a dog in the sun with its legs broken and then tied behind its back and then suspended in agony, yelping and screaming in pain, and they don't give a shit about it. They don't give a shit. But when you're Australian, you see that the first time, it breaks your heart. Seeing a cow with meat cut off the cow for dinner, but we don't want to lose the cow, so that's sort of cruelty to an animal. You've got to be ready for some of these things when they occur, and people go, but that's their culture, but it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's right, but guess what? You don't get to come home and talk about it because you've got the chain of command. You've also got the an uneven ability where you aren't allowed to even put on Facebook, etc., who you are in uniform. Be proud, while those at the top can do anything, say anything, with absolutely no repercussion. The army, you must know, is a dictatorship. It is run on double standards, and this double standards gets worse as the disconnect between the hierarchy and the soldier gets further apart because of asymmetric warfare, where people in air conditioning are actually giving their orders as communication, command and control is easier to do from a decentralized position. It's easier for them to actually start to lose touch with their own soldiers as well. At battalion level, it's fucking great. You know, the major will get to know you. Okay, the CSM will get to know you. The lieutenants and the captain will get to know you. Your platoon sergeant, platoon commander will get to know you. It's good. Right, go higher than that, but you might as well be talking to a bloody politician. Hey, Ruben, I saw what you said before, and I too believe that Trump is going to win. I can't see how the left can win now. The amount of, you know, a lot of people still think that Biden is the president-elect. You're going, well, there was no conceding by Donald Trump, and no one has given him, the Electoral College has not said, yes, you have that. We've announced you. And all he needs to do is lose one state, which it looks like he's going to lose many, and he falls below 270, and the race is back on, big time. Legalities are crazy on that one. Guys and gals, I can play the second video, but I'd rather answer a few of your questions here. Madison is out of Kapuka. Now, can we get some thumbs up down there for Madison, who's been kicking goals? Hope you're well, mate. Jesse, I wish I had your girl. Absolutely, Jesse, absolutely. And the danger of throwing rocks from glass houses is sometimes they come back harder. And if you're not a glazier, okay, like, where is he? Not Fletch. Fugly and Gina, who is a glazier, then you might not be ready for what comes back your way. Guys and girls, we're going to have a quick look at the other video, but take into account, what do we got there? I just heard something. James Morris, don't go too far into your pocket, mate. I just love hearing what you've got to say. But that'll go for a can of dog food as well. Canberra lawyers have no right to charge the soldiers. Afghans will support Taliban as Westerners are over for a small time, tribal in our values. They also have a thing called blood debt, that when you can get money for someone, okay, that has performed an atrocity against your family, and that gets rid of the need for revenge against them in the future. Because if you're from a weaker family and you've had violence perpetrated against you, you might wait multi-generations before you actually go and basically get back your revenge. But you can buy your way out of it. And I believe at the moment, what we've done at the moment is going to cost tens of millions of dollars to compensate people that are probably Taliban families. Probably are. And we've absolutely believed them without the evidence, without the investigation occurring, without charges being there. We've created an international incident that's going to drag other coalition forces into it as well. Absolutely. Aussie Grunt, that's not very nice, mate. Not very nice at all. Yeah. Starting to doubt your service, young mate. Availability. For what? Fugly. Problem is he won't be able to read that comment, Lauren. I'm not sure what that one was about. Fugly should have gone to Specsavers. Dude, I need to go to Specsavers. I'm losing my eyes quickly. When you get to 45 years old, bang, it's gone. I thought I was, I could have accidentally been eating tofu. Guys and gals, for those who are coming in late, this is the one from Aldi, the Simply Super Chicken Pad Thai. Absolutely amazing. You could probably eat two of them. No need to, but that and some Coke to clean your teeth off afterwards and your apples. What do we got there? Brownie Rowell. Thank you very much for the... wait a sec, we're going to put something up for the other gentleman too. And SAS. Look at you guys. Hey, Kaz and team, I am lurking again. That's no way to lurk. I have the kids with me. Also is Madison. Great work. Fantastic. We've got the lovely hibiscus too. that has really good push-up form. Over the bat phone last night, she sent her form to show me, please go hard on my form on push-ups. She did over 12 and they were good form. Hibiscus, we need you to get to 20 so that other people can see you did more than was required and that attitude is passed like that. And you'll be looking forward to the first time they say, go and do some push-ups. Here's for Russ. Raul. It almost sounds like the pool cleaner from Spain. And we've got SOS, not SAS, who's right here as well. Can we get some thumbs up for Aussie Grunt, who can't mind his manners in chat? Can we get some thumbs up there to show that we don't give a shit about his thoughts?
It's a crackhead. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Welcome, calamari.
Aussie Grunt, I don't believe you are. I think anyone could make that name up, mate. And remember, you came to me, I didn't go to you. So enjoy your weekend. Dickhead. Anyway, what are we going to talk about? Oh, look at this. Let's have a look at this next one, shall we? I'm just going to jump on here quickly. Where are we? Okay. Here we are. Okay, team. What just happened then? Where are we? No, not that one.
Just watched them hog-tie these guys, and we knew their hands were, tied behind their backs.
He says the Australians called the US pilots to pick them up, as well as 7 prisoners. But the pilot told them there was only room on the aircraft for 6.
And you just heard a silence, and then we heard a pop, and then they said, okay, we have 6 prisoners.
Okay, I'm calling this guy out here as being full of shit. Because what he's suggesting, he was talking about being on communications with someone over a radio. You have to hold a hand switch in, the pressure switch in, to be able to talk. And then you address the person you're speaking to, and then you'll hear the squelch when it's over. So are we to believe that they just had it on completely and continual? So you heard this happening in the background? I think he heard what he thinks he wanted to hear.
The SAS.
Just watched them hog-tie these guys, and we knew their hands were, tied behind their backs.
He says this.
Just watched them hog-tie these guys, and we knew their hands were, tied behind their backs.
He says the Australians called the US pilots to pick them up, as well as 7 prisoners. But the pilot told them there was only room on the aircraft for 6.
And you just heard a silence, and then we heard a pop, and then they said, okay, we have 6 prisoners. So it was pretty apparent to everybody involved in that mission that they had just killed a prisoner.
Josh, that's not his real name.
I hope that wasn't
Says
the
he
case.
was a door
I do.
gunner on board an American chopper, providing aerial cover for the Aussies that night in 2012. Australian Special Forces 2nd Regiment's November platoon was said to
Madison.
be conducting a raid with partner forces.
2 seconds, team. Madison, we did the BFA, Basic Fitness Assessment Team, at Kapuka, but didn't need to pass it, which is a disgrace because you should have to pass to meet the bare minimum standard. Otherwise, you could be a problem that's getting passed on to the next stage of training. And for the entire time the Australian Army's been going, that was the standard. But it looked like, but I got like 40 push-ups, well done. 85 sit-ups, excellent, and got in time for the run. Have to do personal PT at ITs now. Personal PT, it should be that should be run by teams, by the call sign, so they can actually put it on your course report. Any advice to get fit enough for the combat PESA? That should all be graduated through training through PDIs that will do that for you, just like it was for Fletch. Okay? But Madison, that's for you, my friend. Well done. Scalping the cat one at a time.
It's a crackhead. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Welcome, calamari.
And James is exactly right there. This one's for you, James.
I accept.
Thank you, James and Madison. It is so important that people that feel like they are getting attacked can find something that is at least a counterbalance of the bad news that they're hearing. These are people that you won't see on Facebook, you won't hear about, that stay below the radar. And if all accounts are true, that out of the 3,000 people that have served over more than 12 years since 2001 in the Afghanistan arena, which means sand in Spanish, that means the majority of them are getting tarred with the same brush. And that just ain't fair. It's not. So if they reach out and they see, not just us, if they see cartoons, if they see memes, if they see videos, if they see Alan Jones, if they see Mr. Heston Russell speaking, then it makes them think, hey, at least someone has our back. Maybe the voice of reason is out there. Maybe we have a chance of our families having us at home this Christmas. But the irreversible damage that it creates, I don't even know what that's going to look like with the fallout. But anyway.
There's a bit of a witch hunt underway.
Yep.
And I'm not going to stand here and say that over 10 years of
moral
forces,
courage right here.
operations in Afghanistan, things occurred that did
good looking man
that
too.
should not have occurred. We were not perfect. We tried to be.
You good? As soon as I open up, we'll move. If they turn out to be accurate, the allegations stand up. That can't just be an isolated incident.
Last week on
I
our show,
can't stand
former
this
Chief
dickhead
of
Wally.
Defence Admiral Chris Barry expressed concern about a culture of brutality across the Special Forces.
You mean winning?
Forces went back 12 times. I'd argue that is unconscionable. In the all-volunteer force, asking people to go back and spend 6 months, 9 months on each deployment leads to a culture or an atmosphere of greater brutality.
I agree. We explained that before. The more times that you are subjected to something, you will be desensitized, where it becomes easier and easier for you to separate yourself, especially when there's cultural divides. The other thing we need to remember is like when someone is young, not in military, and they party for too long. You have 60 years to live with the decisions that you made before you were 40. So you need to be told sometimes, whoa, touch the brake, pump it. Have you considered from your mates to drink only 3 nights a week, 2 nights a week, 1, or give it up? Yeah. Your mates, they'll stead you right, you hope.
From the Defence Force or the Department of Veterans Affairs has reached out to anyone ex-serving from my platoon, including myself. Our entire support architecture for veterans is reactive. It is waiting for people that you have indoctrinated to put service and others before themselves.
With DVA, if you don't go to them, you will never hear from them, ever. And to go to them normally means you're already in a state of emergency. Because especially Australian blokes, we tend not to ask for help. We're like a dog that's been hit by a car, that we run under the bloody house and we stay there and lick our wounds and wait for them to heal. That's what happens. When we lose a fight, we get in a taxi and we go home with our kebab and we feel sorry for ourselves, and then we come out with a great bloody story.
People to be able to have their day in court that are needed to.
Why do you feel the need to speak out on this?
Why wouldn't you?
I carry that responsibility that was placed in me by my soldiers to conduct these operations, to risk their lives in support of Australia and the mission we had there in Afghanistan, at a time when no one else from Defence is speaking out, at a time when they're being attacked on social media, when their children are watching TV and asking them if they're murderers.
Yes, absolutely true. We saw a good question here too from James Morris. Our special forces are expected to be the sharp end of the spear. They are the sentinels of the wall guarding us. Support for ex-soldiers is shit. It is. It is. Because the first thing that happens is, in a place as big as Australia, when we leave a unit, we normally go with our family and we normally go to what we call a semblance of home, or where our kids are going to be comfortable, which drags us straight away from those that we call our cultural battle buddies. And that is a tough thing. So the expectation on the soldier is that you need to put a lot of thought into where you're going to live after military, especially if you're an operational or a long-term serving soldier, male or female, because you need to have people that you can go to that understand you, that understand the culture, that understand the comments you say aren't racist. The comments you say are not misogynistic. And you know what? Misogyny is something that is absolutely almost trivial, especially on operations. But guess by who? By males and females. The women we work with absolutely love working with us, and they're glad to be working with us. And they tell us all the time, as they devolve into becoming one of us, you know, they're happy to be there. And they are treated like a team member. Mick Nation, one of the best females I've ever met in my life, let alone soldier. Hey, Jordan, Michael Jordan D. Thank you very much for that, mate. To what do I owe the pleasure? Not even a comment on what you'd like to know, sir. Well done on the slam dunks and the shoes. Get these in here.
It's a Kraken! Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Welcome, calamari.
I'm not trying to be rude here, Tim. I just got a message from... You're about to hear the voice. Shouldn't have to go back. That's how many phone calls I get in a day here, team. Jordan, is there anything we can do or say to you to earn, okay, the $20 admission of dog food that you've just supplied us with that fantastic flag? Where is she? Where is she? Wait 2 seconds, team. We've only got a couple of minutes of charge on this too. Sorry.
Good evening.
Hey, how are we going?
I'm going good. I'm just trying to say congratulations to Jesse. He said his daughter has just entered the world.
Hey, is that Jesse Enderby?
Jesse Bray. He said, "G'day, Kaz. Hey, Lauren and team. Hopefully everything's going great. My daughter just entered the world. Just popped in to say hi."
Mate, Jesse, well done. Kaz is a beautiful name for a little girl. Jesse, I am the father of a daughter. It is the best thing. It does define me, but I tell you, I have never been more tired than what I am now, and she's only 9.
Yeah, it's true.
Can we get some hype in the chat down there for lovely Jessie Bray? What's your daughter's name going to be, mate? What about Guardian 27? What about Fletch? What a great name for a little girl. Or Jordan Clayton. What about Dave D? Beautiful names. Sad boy. What about Aussie Grunt?
No, I got rid of him. I apologise for not seeing that sooner. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
He slipped through the net.
Don't worry about it. Daz, there you go, mate. I hope you get your gift in the mail. It should be just about there, mate. Fugly, welcome to the grind, Jesse. Yeah, sad boy. Great job. Pepsi, stop it. No Pepsi for the baby. I need to know what Jessie Bray's Estelle Rose, close to Lauren's heart there.
That's beautiful.
Memory, I'll try to convince the boss for Estelle, Kaz, Rose, memory. It just makes sense. And as Vanilla Ice would say, anything less would be a felony.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a ring to it. I have a rose. That's lovely.
So what would you... Okay, Lauren, you're old enough to have a soldier who's an SAS soldier. Yep. What would you be thinking right now if you were the mother of a soldier, because she's the partner of a soldier?
Yep.
What would you be thinking if you were the mother of a soldier and this was coming up and he didn't have the ability to be able to talk for himself? What would you be thinking?
Quite honestly, I'd want to wring Campbell's neck.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, that's what I'd want to do. How did you do that? Even if my son did that, how the heck did you do that to my boy?
Yep. And how does he come back from this?
Exactly. How did you do, and how did you let that happen?
What happens to the other 2,980? What happens to the guys of the Royal Australian Regiment? Those that are assisting from other corps that are helping with the SASR, those that are helping with the 2nd Commando Regiment? What happens when they go to see a psychiatrist or psychologist now as part of their Diddy Mouth from the military family, and they're thinking to themselves, am I getting set up here?
Look, I've been a mental health advocate for a lot of years because I have PTSD too. And I have always said to people, you've got to go to your doctor, you've got to be honest with them, you've got to trust them, you've got to have a professional support team.
Hey.
But I don't know if I could say that in good faith to them anymore. And that's really horrible to do that because it really just means they're on their own. How are they going to trust someone? Like, to use a doctor in a predatory way is so dodgy on so many levels. That trust is gone. And other doctors are going to be tainted because of what this doctor did.
Well, that doctor should be throw some holy water on her. We've got some chats here. We've got one from Pedro, the gamer. Sounds like a man that's hit a pinata before. If you've got a channel, Pedro, feel free to plug it in too, my friend.
Yeah, we love game.
Yeah, just wanted to buy you a beer for all your hard work. And, of course, congrats, Jesse. Congrats, Jesse. You know, this one's coming to you, and we've got one straight below you from Toast. Is that Toast? I can't even see with my eyes.
It's really creepy, like Avatar, but it's great. It's like a piece of toast with a face on it.
I accept.
Thank you very much, Pedro, for the Asian cow. And another Asian cow below. We've got a field full of them at the moment. We've got Toast there, some unusual people. Can we also get some likes, please, if we can, guys and gals? And if you want to be a member, be a member. And if you want to stay by the channel, just subscribe. It costs nothing. Call it the price of watching.
Yeah, exactly.
This is for Toast. Vegemite and Toast. Cracking on Toast.
It's a cracking. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
That'd be gross, wouldn't it?
Welcome, calamari.
I feel like I'm back on the first fleet with all these yellow cows. Do you know who I miss at the moment?
Whoa, wait a minute.
I really miss Stoddy.
Yeah, me too.
Our local medic. Hashtag me too.
Look at this. Is that a red cow or a magenta cow, a berry cow? It's a pink cow.
That is, you know,
cow.
That's a menstrual cow.
Hey.
Hey, that's nature.
If you want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it, but I refrain from it.
Okay, removing 2 SASR. They've apparently at the moment broken down the second squadron in SASR. That is not the way you treat an isolated incident with people, which supposedly most of them are out of the military now.
Exactly.
You know, if you want to make a permanent dent, they just did one. Removing 2 SASR, now 3 SASR, get them to see a private psych doctor, not military one. Because how can I help veterans, even though I was a choco from 88 to 92, just want to help those guys. Look, you can't.
Just don't believe the hype. That's how you can help them.
James,
be the resistance out there. Just don't believe it.
James, double up on a white warrior tentacle, calamari, mother-in-law, bistro. I'm going to change those up for you. I do.
Because we're using them so often because everyone's so doing.
It's a cracking. Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
It's true.
Welcome, calamari.
I don't like that last freaky bit. Welcome, calamari. James, I've got to tell you something, mate. If someone had tried to push me into a PTSD course before I was ready, I would have rebelled against it. If someone had tried to push anyone towards it before they're ready for it, you won't see them again. They'll go underground. Yep. You have to help yourself.
Jordan had a good point. Jordan said, my understanding is that the ADF offered money to people who came forward as witnesses to any criminal acts.
That better not have. Do you mean from Afghan?
Yes, of course they come out of the woodwork, yeah. They're just going to say anything. And I also had heard that they ignored an awful lot of witnesses who said, I didn't see that, I was there.
You could literally go to Detroit right now and say, if you believe you've been raped by someone from SASR, we'll give you $10,000 for your story, and they'd be around the block and go, SASR, I've never been to Detroit, America. Yeah, but when you do a cash incentive, that's what occurs. You know what? Let's toast. He just became a member. Thank you very much, Toast. Tentacle for you, calamari in your face.
It's a Kraken! Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Welcome, calamari.
And
Can we get a... if Jesse Bray, if you were still there, can you... Ah, shit.
He's gone.
We need to get an address so we can send something to his little girl.
Indeed, we do. Guys are talking about veteran charities to give to. Look, I would just put out a word of warning. Just be careful of veteran charities, guys.
It's like breast cancer. There's like 4,000 of them.
Exactly. Some are more effective than others, and some are paying, like, you know, Facebook CEOs an awful lot of money and things. So I'd just be really careful. Give your money to, you know, look, maybe just keep your money. You know, really look into it, really research, find out where the money goes to, look at the ACNC website, and it'll tell you all about the charity. So really be careful with that.
Look at that. Sam the Ham 7. Is the toast cooked?
It looks like it's cooked.
Delegate, great to have you here, mate. It's great to have you here. If you're late, you're late. We didn't mean to be on a Saturday, but we have to talk about this. Let's quickly get back to the video, because I tell you what, Heston Russell is a better looking cat than me. But I'm significantly older too. Come on. Where is it?
I note the report says...
No, not you. How come that's not coming up?
Because I hexed it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Heston Russell, he is there. He has spoken up. He is not serving anymore. And he has said, not on my watch. That tells you that we lose our best officers just like we lose our best soldiers. And that's sad because they get scalped. I don't mean like Indian sort of scalped. Hey, ha, ha, nothing like that. You know, people see the skill sets they've got and they move on. And that's unfortunate because someone like that as the Chief of the Army, could you imagine what a good job he could do? Do you have to be the brightest spark to be the Chief of the Army? No. Do you have to be ready to play ball with politicians? Absolutely. But that's not what we need. We need a Trump to lead the army. And I tell you what, if we had Donald Trump as our Commander-in-Chief right now, would this investigation have gone through the media? No, it wouldn't. It would have been behind closed doors. And it would have been, I'm going to tell you now, if I find out you're guilty, I will hammer you to the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will not hammer you to the wall until we find out that you actually are guilty.
Yeah, all the facts, even the peripheral facts, are important in something like this.
What message can we say to people? Because this is a military channel, mostly foremost. How do we say to people, do not let this define your military career? It doesn't need to. This is a shot over the bow. It's a mistake.
Yep.
You know,
it is. I just don't listen to negative comments because there may be an increase in them from the greater community out there. You wouldn't be the first Australian soldiers to be called the baby killer range of things, which is a crying shame. But there have even been other veterans who survived that, and they are voicing their disdain at this.
Do we tell you a quick story?
Yeah, please.
I'll tell you a quick story, team. When I just got back from Rwanda, there was a guy I nearly had a fight with when I was growing up as a kid. I was a small kid. I nearly had a fight with a guy named Carl. Carl was big for his age, you know, but he was the best friend of a guy called Justin, who I hated. But Justin had really shit parents and was a reason why he was a really shit kid. You know, and Carl came to his assistance one day and we nearly threw down. Anyway, the next time I see Carl was I just got back, like it was 10 years later, and I just got back from Rwanda where I'd been through the horrific shit that had gone on with Commando and the Rwanda crap. And I was sitting in the pub, and he's substantially bigger than what Kaz was in 1995. He'd grown into his boots, and he wanted to take off from where we'd left. And he came over, he's going, you should be ashamed of yourself, you know, going to going overseas, you know, your baby killer and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And I did not know how to handle myself then emotionally, because you're a soldier. You don't want, you're at home, you don't fit in with your friends anymore, and you're like, I don't know how to respond to this. Do you belt someone? Do you walk away? It's the quickest way to get in a fight in a pub is to walk away.
Yeah.
And anyway, when we went our separate ways, and you know, 10 years after that, I found out that he's a lovely bloke. He's got a family, and he's been absolutely devastated that he'd said that to me 10 years earlier, because someone had walked over to him and said, you know what you said about him? You know what you said? You know he remembers that? You know that a lot of the problems he has now is because if you think something is real in your mind and it changes you, and then someone says it to you, it confirms that it's true even when it's not.
Yeah, it's when you, especially when you've got PTSD, any negative feedback you tend to take to heart before you like logically analyse it.
It's true. It's true. We are your voice here, team.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
but you know, those Vietnam vets, they've really been stepping up lately, because they were saying that they remember coming home from that horror, stepping off onto Australian soil, being so happy to be here, and spitting at them, calling them baby killers, and you know, we even get in here in the channel people coming in using the baby killer reference, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I think that listen to those Vietnam veterans on how they handled it. They handled it with dignity and grace, and they have suffered from it. But I think take their wisdom, and if you are a victim of it, do what Kaz did, just walk away, you know.
I'm walking away.
Yeah, people are asses, and just believe me, life will humble them.
Fletch, I normally would. And you know what? If someone was saying that to my friend, you'd lose it, but it's different when they're saying it to you. It's like, you take it on board like, I can't believe I'm hearing this. You know, last Anzac Day, wait a sec, let's get to Sean Steiny for a second.
Yeah.
Steiny, where's that from, mate? It sounds German. It sounds Oktoberfest. He's even got the green, which means maybe he is German.
Yeah, Sean's great. He left a comment in one of the last videos.
That's awesome. Yeah. Spot on, Lauren, says Miss Hibiscus, the tropical flower of the north.
It's a kraken! Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make
Stoddy's
him happy.
Here. Welcome, calamari.
Stoddy is here.
Stoddy, you're a guy that doesn't like to cook, doesn't like to clean, doesn't like to do the dishes. Bam. This one's for you, mate. The chicken pad thai, which is from Aldi. You need it in your fridge, 10 boxes. By then you'll be sick of it, and I'll replace it with something else. The $2.99 lasagna is also great. No vegetables, no herbs, no fruit.
Oh, come on now.
Great to have you here, Sean. Have you got a question for us, my friend?
And I hope school's going well. Let us know how that's going.
Yeah. Yep. Tyson, OCAS and team, off topic, but where can I get a shirt from? Get your name out more. Mate, g'day Iron Wolf's dad. How you going, mate? The shirts is one of the things, and believe me, it's out of caring for you guys that we haven't done the shirts mostly yet. We've said this a bunch of times. It's the price to buy shirts in Australia, merch in Australia, it's bullshit. It really is a rip-off. And the last thing I want at the moment when I'm planning a move after Donald Trump wins and I get my winnings back is to have a house with 200 shirts in, you know, where I got too many extra larges or too many smalls or too many mediums, whatever, and get stuck looking like I've created the nicest camp. But we'll do something.
Yeah,
Fletch?
we will. We will for sure.
Yeah.
You know who makes a great pad thai?
Who does?
John Paul. A great pad thai from scratch. It's great.
But how can you do that? You know, the price of making it is probably more expensive than just going and buying it by the expert.
Yeah, but I grow a pretty good garden, so really all we've got to get is the meat.
Yeah.
You know.
What's wrong with tofu? Plenty's wrong with tofu. Guys and girls, can you let us know, can you leave in comments right now if you could say in less than 20 words a message You know, we're not going to say that we know if these guys are guilty or they're not. But,
No, exactly.
but we owe these people a debt of gratitude. Not that they haven't made Australia safer necessarily by fighting the enemy on foreign soils. But I tell you what, they've killed enough wolves, which was what their job was to do in Afghanistan. You know, they've done enough of that they have changed the lives by people in Afghanistan forever who don't even know that. We've got an Afghanistan family where the kids can't speak a lick of English, and they're at my school and they came here running, fleeing, but they did it the right way from Afghanistan.
Yep.
And they look so happy. They can't speak English, but they are the biggest smiling family, and they don't even know why, except for the fact they're safe.
Yeah, exactly, and they're very grateful and they're very, very happy, you know. And let's remember that even if this turns out that folks did do things they shouldn't have done, we have to look at the extenuating circumstances
What
as
just
to
happened
how
then?
it happened, and we have to demand.
What did I just do?
Hey?
Oh, I just accidentally turned it off for a second.
We have to demand that the higher command have to answer for this. You know, I rewatched Breaking Moran today, and
Wait. I don't even know what just happened then.
What's happening?
I accidentally turned a video on in the background. Yeah,
Did you?
and the same goes for cops. They took the mateship, they took the friendship, they took the love out of police. That's why they look so paramilitary now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we want to be good citizens. We want to have a good community. So just don't be an arse.
Can we get your lovely voice to start reading out these messages of 20 words or so of what message you would actually give to our SAS 2 Commando guys right now?
Okay. Jordan Clayton has said, "You have risked your lives, and I thank you for your service. You deserve due process."
Bam. Well done. I love that.
Yeah, it's good. Here's another one. James Morris. These soldiers are, 20 words, these soldiers are innocent until proven guilty. Look at the leadership requirements, Rule 303. Yeah, here's another one from SRN. Stay positive, guys, and focus on your values.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stay tight too. This is not a time to choose honour and go. It's time to confess, because I tell you what, they're not going to listen to the why you did it. They're just going to say, is it a crime?
Exactly.
You're dealing with people that do not have a rule book, and you dealt with them in a way, the only way to deal with the wolf. Now, if anyone knows more about that, it was the Mongols, when they went up against other cultures, different nations, and they had to come up with ways of defeating castles using horseback. They had to look at ways of defeating assassins like Ismaili assassins that had been ruling the Middle East for 200 years, and they did it really, really quick. They defeated Afghanistan like a Zyrtec. You know, if you go to win, you should be allowed to win. I don't know what happened with the US, but as soon as Obama was out, Trump came in. Within a year, ISIS was defeated. Now, that either says, under Obama's rule, they were either facilitating or not trying to win, or they were actually negligent. You know?
Yeah. Here's one from our lovely hibiscus.
Tropical flower of the north.
Yes, serving our country is one of the best things we could do. We have your back all the way. Stay strong, and thank you for still serving. Love, heart. That's lovely.
That is lovely, but be careful, hibiscus. You're as pretty as a peach.
Yeah.
You know, and those guys, they're always looking at someone that wants to hold their hand. So leave our hibiscus alone.
And they're smooth as silk, those guys.
Yeah.
Jeez. Watch out.
that poor Heston Russell, he got picked on by his platoon for being the ugliest. That's not true.
What?
That's
Yeah.
not true. He's a handsome bastard. You know, I was proud of him to come and step up and say, not on my watch. And his men, I dare say, love him. I know I've met him a bunch of times, but you know, I've seen him at the School of Infantry. Really fit guy, trains hard, works hard, humble, and speaks to you all when he meets you, because if you're in the Australian Army uniform, he doesn't need to know anything more about you.
Yep.
Yep.
But that's what, you know, you guys are generally very humble.
Yep.
And, you know, especially like all the SF guys I've spoken to are incredibly humble and real gentlemen. You know, I've never felt safer than when, you know, I'm around them.
And this chick, Lauren, knows one of the most decorated SAS guys that we both know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, and you'd never guess it, would you?
No, what a humble guy. I didn't know till people told me until after I'd met him, but yeah, after I'd spoken to him. But yeah, what a humble guy.
Yep.
And what a lovely guy, you know. These are really amazing people who have done amazing things.
Yeah. Toast, I don't know what's going on with ScoMo with this, but honestly, mate, I feel sorry for him. He's being dealt this. This is a hand that he's had just put in his hand, and he's probably, how do I deal with this? I think ScoMo loves our military.
Yeah, but I was a bit disappointed with what he said today.
I didn't see it.
He's standing behind the leadership and all that, and I think, well, that was a bad move, because I think most of Australia want to see them as held accountable as the individual soldiers.
I think his hand was pushed in this one. He has to be seen as the chain of command of the country to be supporting the highest.
But our politicians are the ones who have the power to say, how the heck did that happen when you were meant to be in charge?
Yep, absolutely. And what an amazing thing when they talked about Yashimada's rule or whatever, where you blame the top first. For those that remember the Costa Cordian, that was horrible, seeing the captain of the ship leaving people behind. And this tells us now that the chief of the army, if he had been on the Titanic, wouldn't have gone down with the ship. He would have been the one with the hood over his head, with the wives and the children, saying, "I'm more important. I need to be on the boat."
Look who's here. Don J. Trump is here.
Hey, I think you're going to get in, Donald J. Trump. I really do, and let's just hope that common sense prevails, mate.
Exactly, yeah, let's hope. Top 10 Clips has said, hey, in the trenches with Kaz, I suggest making a reaction video on Australian stolen valour. He would love to see your reaction.
I actually keep looking at that to do that, and I may even do that tomorrow. I might even do that tomorrow. I've just cancelled something I'm meant to be doing tomorrow because I just got no notice for it, and it just feels too intrusive, and I said no to it. And if Zach is watching, I'm not trying to let you down, bro, but I don't let people come to my house and do shit, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I'm thinking of doing a year in review for my channel, and I thought, you know, I have to put my little stolen valor encounter in there.
I don't know, what do you do if you get accused of stolen valor and you're not stolen valor?
Yeah, I think people should be careful of accusing people of it. If you're a civilian like me, do what I did and speak to some actual veterans and tell them why you're worried, and they will help you. They will guide you through what you should do. But I don't know what you should. If you're accused of it and you aren't, then I think you have nothing to fear because the other person just looks like a dick.
That's true. We're going to be careful on this subject, Jesse, because the subject, we know what happens with the algorithm. But I would say that lead by strength. It works. It's worked perfectly. It's worked better than anyone else's country. I believe that he is the best commander-in-chief that the world could have. I believe there's a lot bigger issues that we can't talk about here because of said algorithm that protects the subject.
Same reason we can't answer Steve O's question.
If you could look another 20 years from now, the decisions he makes now would make a lot of sense. When you dig deep, you see that there is intersecting powers, different cultures that don't match. Okay, and someone has to prevail. Someone has to prevail. You know, and believe me, there'll be people, if he doesn't actually retain his position, that will be begging for him back within 6 months.
Kaz, do you need to ring your little one? Jay's just
8:22. We've got another 6 minutes.
Right, but thanks for the reminder, Jay. We do get caught up sometimes having a chin wag.
And her voice is what keeps me going. She is the wind beneath my wings, which should not ever be mixed up with a fart.
Good heavens. JP's here. He's been lurking.
Hey, JP, how you going, mate? You guys, when we go overseas, I'll tell you now, some of the things I've done in my life I am not proud of. I'm not. I've never been picked up for it. I've never been chastised for it, but it sits within my soul, and I can't, I can't get rid of it. Yeah, I could not imagine what it would be like for someone who is trying to teeter with their own conscience, with their value system, with their honour system, even though they knew what they did was righteous, and then to be accused of it or persecuted for it. I think it would do absolute damage. Like I said, I've lost someone that I did my first PTSD course with 3 days ago who lost their struggle with the black dog and took their assistance dog with them. But that would have been out of respect, not out of cruelty. You never see it coming, and this is not what is in store for you by joining the military either, When you go from first world culture to third world culture and you see the level of depravity, and then you come home and you feel different, you feel like you're in purgatory between both locations, be very careful about getting out of the army, because a lot of times that is not the answer.
Yeah, a lot of people regret that.
Well, we saw it with Nashos. One of the saddest things they did to people after Vietnam was send them home, when really they should have given them the option to stay in for another 3 years with a 4-month layoff, go home for 4 months, come back, stay in. Because once it's in your system, they talk about it for the rest of their life. It's the highlight of their life. The mateship, the adventure, not the danger. The danger just is the bow that makes it feel real and makes you trust. And if I could say again, who am I going to talk to here with this one? Maybe Jordan D, maybe Toasty, or maybe Jay Hayes. Not Cerebral Palsy, that's West Side. There is a difference between mateship and friendship. Friendship is someone you choose, someone not of your blood, someone that doesn't necessarily have to be tested, but is someone that is there for you until another friend comes along. A mate, which you're surrounded by in the military, will accept you from the second they see you, because you're wearing the uniform, you're wearing the Australian flag on your shoulder. That's all they need to know, that you will be beside them for the next allotted amount of time until you or they are replaced. So mates will have your back regardless of whether they like you, whether other people don't like you. They will still help you. They will elevate you. They will compensate you, and they will even put you before themselves regardless of the fact they don't like you. Exactly. But it's like a loaf of bread that's been spun around with the plastic on the top, and it has a lifespan. The second they don't need you anymore, then they don't need you anymore. They won't see you. They won't contact you. Maybe they will. But if you can get friendship and mateship, and you can wrap that in a bow of hard work, sacrifice, friendship, mateship, then you've got a buddy forever. And I've got guys like Donald Trump here that I love the dude, lived with the dude. He's a good guy. Heaps of good guys. And I really would love to see you have that element of friendship with anyone, that bond. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's, and the veteran community is great. We really, I don't know about everyone else, but in the infantry veteran community, we really don't care what someone else says about you.
Nah.
Only you can change our opinion on you, and you'd have to do something pretty bad for us to.
And we never hear it anyway. We never hear it because no one comes up to us and goes, "You infantry guys are real pussies."
No,
it doesn't happen.
No, exactly. And we don't tend to gossip about each other. We just want everybody to be doing well. Even folks you've got history with, you really want everyone to be doing well. I've got to tell you, Tasmanian Devil has said something controversial.
Okay.
Hi, Kaz, can we bring some attention to the fact that you can't get Coca-Cola at KFC?
Why wouldn't that be the only restaurant that's led by a colonel? Don't trust officers.
Great answer.
They go, oh yeah, but some people like Pepsi. Only in the places where you can't have a Coke. Nothing brushes your teeth like Coca-Cola. Open both. I have one here, an empty one, for proof that it's a limited edition. I know people who work for Coke. Love them. Guys and girls, we're starting to talk shit. But I tell you, I am really proud of the fact that you care, that people are actually sticking up for our soldiers, and pressing the brake on people and saying, hey, team. Yeah. You wouldn't be saying this to someone, you're trusting someone from another country who's getting paid to tell you this.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people should be put off their enlistment because of this. I think you've got to remember that this is, there's not been a trial. Even if it comes out that there was folks who made mistakes, don't let that reflect on your service.
That's right.
And
again, you did not know what they knew about that person that they got rid of, and you might go, hell yeah, you did the right thing.
Exactly. You just don't know. We can't judge because we don't know what we would do if we were in that position and being told to do a job, and there's the way to do my job. So there's an awful lot left to interpretation. So I think don't let that put you off. I think follow your dream, because you've got to remember that even if folks did things that they shouldn't do, there's the majority of folk who serve would never, ever, ever, ever want to hurt innocence of any kind.
Nope. Hey, and there we've got Jesse. He's throwing out a jaundiced cow there saying coffee or tea. Lauren will have the tea. I'll have the coffee. No, I'll replace the coffee with a can of dog food for me pooch. You can probably smell his breath on mine. That doesn't make me gay, team.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Salutes the Colonel.
He doesn't drink Pepsi either.
Yeah, and JP said nobody asks for a rum and Pepsi.
There's Carl.
Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy.
Welcome, calamari.
I'm going to tell you something else about SASR too. More SASR than Commandos, actually. I'm telling you now, if you ask someone from SASR, can you please show me how to do something? They are so humble. When they meet you on a course, you wouldn't know they're SASR. They're the most laid-back, best person. And you know that they're SAS by the end because their professionalism. They manage to still have the coffee with everyone, the smiles. They're laid back. They've got nothing to prove. Everything they do, and they're the best team person. They're the hardest worker. They never quit. When it's 10 o'clock at night and you're getting ready to do something and deliver it the next day, they're there going, are you sure you want to go to bed? We can run through it one more time. They're legit.
Yeah, because they didn't get there from not being, motivated and focused, It's difficult to get where they were.
James Morris is saying, looks like everyone will get my financial support. It does, James. Yeah. Honestly, team, please. I would much rather, over a year, just be a member than make donations. I like seeing your name change colour. I like seeing a wall of green over here. We all do. We love it. Sorry?
We don't have a particular preferred charity that we would like people to give money to. Just really research the charities out there and do that. We might look into some and make a list one day. If you want to give some money, give it to the 2RAR Museum.
That's what I was about to say. Wait a sec. We've got Slim Jim Bob. Good evening all. Good evening, Slim Jim, and duty first, my friend. The 2RAR Museum. We actually got a call from the curator earlier on in this stream, and I had to ignore his call because you come first when we're online. And I'm going to announce right now, and he doesn't realise it, I don't think, that he will be the official partnership of this channel. We've got some people who are doing some fantastic volunteer work at the 2RAR Museum to help veterans who don't have anywhere else to go. So we're going to pledge $1,000 a year that goes to them and ask, is that enough to have 2RAR emblem always on what we do, so they know that we are in, what would you call it? We respect what they do because they're not getting paid.
No, exactly. And they do help. They also have a great keeping place and museum, but that's not all they do.
They can save lives.
Yeah, exactly. They actually help, and we need to make sure that the people who are helping in like an advocacy role or whatever, that they have chairs and what they need to do their job.
Do you know what else they do? They don't care what era you were in 2RAR. If you were there in World War II, if you were in Korea, okay, if you were there for Malaya, if you were there for Vietnam, if you were there for the later instance, whether it be Cambodia, whether it be Rwanda, whether it be Somalia, whether it be Afghanistan, East Timor, the Solomons, Iraq, They don't care. They are there for you. You are welcome. If you have ever had the 2 beside your name, you might end up there having a cup of coffee with an 87-year-old man who was bayonet fighting against Koreans, at Samashon.
Yeah, for sure. And
so good.
Check out awesome collection of stuff too. But yeah, even check out their Facebook page. If you've got a Facebook, go and send them some love there. I think it's just called the 2RAR Museum, isn't it?
I believe it is. I'm going to start to put the link in. I need to talk to Harry about it. The reason why I didn't is because when I say it, I want to actually be able to put the $1,000, bam, straight into his account and say choke on that sniper, because that's what he was. He was a sniper, and he has been helping people for decades.
Yeah, exactly, and not wanting anything in return.
He never comes up short.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's great. So the 2RAR Museum, we do highly recommend. It sounds like it's just a museum, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. Guys and gals, can I ask you, please, to do one thing for me? If you've got to this area of the video, we're about to go right now. Can you please, tomorrow, come back to the comments and leave a message of support for our Special Air Service and for our 2 Commando Regiment and for all those involved. You don't have to imply innocent or guilt, but just send them a message of support. Can we do that, please? And I will too.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
In Korea War, did Australians use the Tommy gun? No, I don't think we used the Tommy gun. No, it was still the 303. Yeah. Guys and gals, let's get out of here. Yeah. And remember, one day you could be getting accused of someone and you're going to wonder who's going to listen to my pleas of innocence. This is their turn to hear Australia say this is not what we do. Yep. We wait for the evidence before we accuse.
Yeah, don't let it change how you feel about our diggers. Please don't.
All right, we do need for to re-raise there, James. Absolutely. Guys and gals, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your donations. Thank you for your support, and thank you for letting me finish what I had to say without jumping down my throat and saying but. You know.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying it.
Guys, gals, this is Saturday. It's your Saturday. You only get one of it. Mucho respecto. I might jump on tomorrow. I don't know. You know, I'd jump on every day, team, but I don't want to spam you. Maybe I'll put something out. Fletch, we look up to you. No, you can't look up to me. I'm not that tall. Yeah. Love our country because it's got your back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And the country needs good Australians now more than they ever needed them. All right, I'm going to go and ring my little lady. Thank you, Lauren.
Night, everyone.
So you get night, Kaz, but Lauren gets beautiful.
Yeah, I always get the love hearts. It's good because I give them out.
Yeah, true.
You know.
All right, team. Mucho respecto. And this is a country worth fighting for, I tell you now.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Love and respect to you and your family.